If you're a man over 60 and you've noticed things slowing down where it matters, list drive, chilly mornings, fewer strong starts, pay close attention. The issue isn't just age, it's your circulation. The same system that once fueled your energy, confidence, and desire is slowly fading. And here's the unexpected part. For many men, the fix wasn't a pill or a doctor's visit. It came from something most doctors overlook. Just a teaspoon of oil, taken the right way each morning. I'm Dr. Mit Khan, and for over 30 years, I've helped men across the country get back their strength, stamina, and sense of self. No gimmicks, no side effects, just nature working with your body, not against it. I get it. It sounds too simple. A teaspoon of oil, really. But once you understand how it helps nitric oxide, heals your blood vessels, and even supports testosterone, you'll see why this classic morning habit is helping men thrive well into their 70s and beyond. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly how it works, which oils help and which ones hurt, why most men mess it up before they start, and how to add 3 easy habits to boost your blood flow, focus, and confidence in under 10 minutes each day. Stick with me, because what I'm about to share might bring back the energy, drive, and strength you thought were gone. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss a single tip to help restore your vitality, circulation, and confidence after 60. And if this message hits home, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your input helps me make better content for you. Now let's get started. Because to truly see how this simple morning oil habit helps, we first need to look at what's quietly happening in your body after 60. It's something most men don't notice until it's already draining their energy, focus, and strength. I call it the hidden crisis, a slow but serious drop in circulation that robs your power from within. The hidden crisis after 60. Why circulation starts to decline. I still remember when one of my longtime patients, Frank, a 67-year-old retired engineer, sat in front of me and said something that stuck with me. "Doc, I don't feel sick, but I don't feel alive either." He wasn't hurting. He didn't have a big health issue, but something inside him was slipping. A quiet loss of energy, drive, and confidence he couldn't put into words. And I knew what was going on. What Frank was feeling wasn't just aging. It was a slow, silent drop in his blood flow, a change I've seen in thousands of men over 60. The truth is, your circulation is the engine behind everything. Your energy, your focus, your strength, and yes, your ability in the bedroom. But as time goes on, especially with age, that engine starts to slow down. Your blood vessels stiffen. The soft, flexible walls that once let blood move easily begin to harden. Your body makes less nitric oxide, the key compound that helps blood vessels relax and widen. The result: cold hands and feet, tiredness earlier in the day, and a quiet shift in your ability to feel like yourself as a man. Most men blame it on aging, but I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. Your body still remembers how to heal. It just needs the right tools and signals to wake it back up. And that's where this small spoonful of oil makes a big difference. Because when used properly, it naturally helps restart blood flow from within. Let me show you how. The morning habit that restarts blood flow. When I first heard about men taking a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil on an empty stomach each morning to help their circulation, I'll admit, I had doubts. My whole career is built on science, clinical research, and proven treatments, so the thought that something so simple could actually help sounded too good to be true. But then I paid closer attention. I listened to my patients, men like Harold, 68, who quietly started the habit after we spoke and came back weeks later, looking years younger. He didn't have to say much. His energy said it all. What started as a small test soon revealed something powerful. Men who stuck with this routine began noticing small changes and then bigger ones. They felt warmer in the mornings, more focused, more awake in their own skin, and perhaps most importantly, more responsive in moments of intimacy. And it wasn't just them. I decided to try it myself. Just 1 teaspoon of high-quality, cold-pressed, polyphenol-rich olive oil before anything else in the morning. No coffee first, no food, just the oil. After a few days, I noticed I wasn't dragging through my morning routine. My thoughts were clearer. My body felt more primed. My wife noticed the change before I did. That's when I knew this wasn't a placebo. This was blood flow, waking back up. And if you add a small squeeze of lemon or a tiny pinch of black pepper, you take it even further, activating your liver, improving nutrient absorption, and setting the stage for deep cellular repair. But here's the key: not all oils heal. In fact, most of what's on store shelves could be silently working against you. Let me show you exactly what to avoid and what your body truly needs, what science says, why it works so well. I remember one night, long after clinic hours, sitting at my desk surrounded by stacks of research articles, trying to understand why this simple olive oil ritual was having such a profound effect, not just on my patients, but on me too. The changes we were seeing weren't minor. Men who had been tired, foggy, disconnected, were suddenly clearer, warmer, more confident. And it wasn't just in the bedroom, it was in how they walked, how they spoke, how they engaged with life again. I needed to know the science behind it. That's when I dove deep into the role of the endothelium, the thin layer that lines your blood vessels. It turns out that layer is responsible for producing nitric oxide, the very molecule that tells your arteries to relax and open. When you're young, it works like clockwork. But after 60, that lining stiffens, becomes inflamed, and your ability to produce nitric oxide drops dramatically. That's when the problems begin. Poor circulation, cold extremities, low energy, and yes, weaker erections. But extra virgin olive oil, especially the kind rich in polyphenols, does something remarkable. It restores endothelial function. It reduces oxidative stress, the silent damage that accumulates with age. It protects your arteries and even helps stimulate the Leydig cells in your testes, the very ones responsible for testosterone production. One study out of Italy showed that men who consumed this type of olive oil regularly had higher testosterone levels and better vascular health than those who didn't. This isn't about forcing the body into something unnatural. It's about giving it the nourishment it needs to do what it's always known how to do: heal, flow, and function like a man again. Now, hearing this from science is one thing, but hearing it from real men, men just like you, is something else entirely. Let me share a few stories that changed how I practice medicine forever. Real men, real results. There's something powerful about hearing another man say, "I thought it was over, but now I feel like myself again." I've heard those words more times than I can count, spoken quietly, often with disbelief, from men who had nearly given up on the idea that things could improve. Not bodybuilders or fitness fanatics, just real men, husbands, grandfathers, veterans, men who had lost their fire, not because they were broken, but because no one had ever shown them how to reignite it. Take Harold. He was 68, a retired teacher, thoughtful and kind, but clearly burdened. When he first walked into my office, "Doc, it's not just the bedroom," he said, "it's everything. I feel like I'm fading." I started him on the ritual. 1 teaspoon of high-quality olive oil every morning, with lemon and warm water, nothing fancy. 2 weeks later, he called me. His voice was lighter. "I woke up this morning feeling clear. My hands were warm. I rolled over to my wife, and something just felt right." That moment meant more to him than any prescription ever could. Then there was George, 72 years old, a former truck driver with high blood pressure and years of frustration behind him. He didn't want another drug. He wanted to feel like a man again. Within a month of staying consistent, everything began to shift. His energy, his posture, his confidence. His wife came in for his follow-up and quietly said, "Thank you for giving me my husband back." These aren't isolated miracles. They're proof that when you give your body what it needs, it responds. But here's the part most men miss. This ritual only works if you do it right, and unfortunately most guys get it completely wrong. Let me show you how to avoid the most common mistakes. The most common mistakes men make, and how to avoid them. Over the years, I've watched too many good men give up on this powerful ritual, not because it didn't work, but because they unknowingly did it wrong. And I'll tell you, that's one of the most frustrating things to witness as a doctor. These men were trying, they were hopeful, but no one had ever shown them the details that make all the difference. One man came in excited to try the olive oil ritual. He'd gone out that same day, bought a bottle from the grocery store, and started taking it every morning right after his bacon and eggs. A month later he sat across from me, disappointed. "Doc, I haven't felt much change." I asked to see the bottle. It wasn't extra virgin. It wasn't cold pressed, and it was labeled light, a refined oil stripped of the very nutrients he needed. It wasn't his fault. Labels are confusing, and the food industry doesn't make it easy. Here's what I tell every patient now. The oil must be extra virgin, cold pressed, and high in polyphenols. That's what helps your arteries heal and your blood vessels open. Timing matters too. It has to be taken first thing in the morning, on an empty stomach, no food, no coffee, so your body can absorb it directly and use it efficiently. And perhaps most important of all, you must be consistent. Skipping days or taking it every now and then won't create the momentum your body needs to repair and restore. When done right, this ritual becomes a message to your body. It's time to come back to life. And if you want to take it even further, to really supercharge your circulation, there are a few simple practices you can add to multiply the benefits. Let me show you how. Stack the ritual to boost circulation even further. Once you've committed to the olive oil ritual each morning, something shifts. You begin to feel it slowly, at first, like your body is remembering how to come alive again. But here's where things get exciting. When you add just a few focused practices right after the oil, everything starts to work faster. The results deepen, the energy builds. It's like your entire system starts sinking back into rhythm the way it used to. One of the most powerful additions I teach my patients is something called 4-2-6 breathing. You inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 2, then exhale slowly for 6. Just 2 or 3 minutes of this simple rhythm calms your nervous system, opens your blood vessels, and puts your body into a healing state. I've had men tell me they feel clearer, more grounded, even emotionally steadier within days of starting. Then there's what I call the power stance. Stand tall, hands on your hips, feet shoulder width apart, and take a few deep breaths. Sounds simple, right? But this one position actually lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, and helps gently boost testosterone. More than anything, it reminds you of your strength. It reconnects you with that quiet confidence that age can sometimes steal. And finally, a short morning walk, just 10 minutes outside in the sunlight, can do wonders. It wakes up your muscles, gets nitric oxide flowing, and sets the tone for your entire day. These aren't workouts, they're signals, reminders to your body that it's time to perform, time to circulate, time to live fully again. Now, you might be wondering, is this really just about better blood flow, or could this ritual be affecting something even deeper, something tied to the core of who you are as a man? Let's explore that next. The bigger picture. This is about more than erections. When most men start this ritual, they're focused on one thing, getting their performance back. And that's a perfectly valid reason. I get it. Feeling like you've lost that part of yourself can be painful in a way that's hard to talk about. But what's amazed me over the years is how often the men I work with end up discovering something even more powerful. Because as circulation improves, something else begins to return. Not just function, but identity. One of my patients, Alan, a 70-year-old former business owner, told me something I'll never forget. "Doc," he said, "I came to you to fix things below the belt, but after 3 weeks, I feel like my brain turned back on." And that's exactly what happens. Improved blood flow doesn't just affect one part of your body, it fuels your entire system. Your heart, your brain, your hormones, all of it runs on oxygen-rich blood. And when you restore that flow, everything begins to change. Suddenly, you're sleeping deeper, waking up with more energy, thinking more clearly. You start moving differently, speaking with more presence, reconnecting with your partner in ways you hadn't felt in years. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to feel like yourself again. Not just in private, but in everyday life. That quiet confidence returns. The steady energy, the sense of purpose. This isn't just about intimacy, it's about reclaiming your place in the world as a man who still has strength, clarity, and drive to offer. Most men blame it on aging, but I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. Your body still remembers how to heal. It just needs the right tools and signals to wake it back up. And that's where this small spoonful of oil makes a big difference. Because when used properly, it naturally helps restart blood flow from within. Let me show you how. The morning habit that restarts blood flow. When I first heard about men taking a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil on an empty stomach each morning to help their circulation, I'll admit, I had doubts. My whole career is built on science, clinical research, and proven treatments. So the thought that something so simple could actually help sounded too good to be true. But then I paid closer attention. I listened to my patients, men like Harold, 68, who quietly started the habit after we spoke, and came back weeks later, looking years younger. He didn't have to say much. His energy said it all. What started as a small test soon revealed something powerful. Men who stuck with this routine began noticing small changes, and then bigger ones.